is yet another, I'd almost call it a junk computer video, and maybe that's true, I don't know just yet whether or not this thing is really of any value to anyone. But this one's a little bit different, because this one actually comes from the family. This belonged to one of my aunts, and I guess the impending doom of Windows 10 means that its time in the limelight pretty much ended. And it was going to be donated to the thrift store. But my mother asked me if I wanted it. And of course I said yes, because I cannot say no to a free computer. No matter whether it's a piece of junk or not. I'm not really sure what happened to this. But I don't know if, like, those bends are original. Like, that's kind of weird. I've never seen one like that before. Invariably, it's a cheap, junky power supply, but what I really care about more so than the computer itself, I mean, I've got no sentimental value. I could probably tell you exactly where in the house it would have been set up, because I've got an uncanny knack for that kind of thing, but the machine itself really probably isn't anything special. It's just got a Super Wrightmaster DVD burner in it. Probably a nice drive in its time, but hopelessly outmoded now because nobody uses optical media. Looks like all the USB ports are functional, at least those ones. I think this is an add-on. This was added at some point, probably to have more USB ports. Can't imagine anybody really ever used the 1394 ports. Or the eSATA. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is supposed to be the reset switch. I mean, this indicator right here would suggest that, and then this up here would be the power switch. I don't know. Kind of a weird setup there, but I mean, otherwise, it's nothing special. Standard port layout on the back. It looks like there was an enhanced model of this motherboard that would have had surround sound capabilities, but this one doesn't have that kind. They're numbered. What would have been plugged in? Maybe I should have said yes to getting the keyboard and mouse with this, because it looks like they would have been PS2. And, I mean, PS2 keyboard, I got plenty of those, but PS2 mouse would have been nice. Because a lot of the PS2 mice I have around are the Microsoft variety, and those tend to be hit or miss. This looks like it's been opened before. But I don't know if anything's been removed from this. I wasn't really told anything about it. I was just told that there's a computer here that's going to be gotten rid of. Do you want it? And again, like I said, I can't say no to a free computer. I'm going to have to lift that up in order to get that bottom screw. Take a look at the condition that this case is in. Again, this is not something that I usually see on these we'll call it lower end, because, I mean, really that's what it is. Lower end machines, you usually don't see that. They're usually bent and scratched and nasty, but not this one. Yeah, this is definitely bargain basement. That's a Foxconn motherboard. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. It's a micro ATX. I actually just noticed that this is a mid-tower. The thought didn't even occur to me that it had 7 slots. But, it's fine. There's nothing really wrong with that. The thing, oh, that's interesting. That sticker would have been on top of the fan. It is definitely dusty. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. That can be cleaned up. Not really sure what that is. But there's 2 hard drives. It's Samsung, that's probably the original drive there, and then a Western Digital of some description. I guess if it powers on, and it probably does. I can't imagine that it does not. But if it powers on, then we'll find out what that drive is. We'll also find out what the CPU is beyond its being an Athlon 64X2. Man, there was a time when that really was something, you know? It's kind of sad, really, the kinds of things that used to pass for high-end. Looks like it's got Realtek audio. That's good. That's darn sight better than anything Analog SoundMax ever made. Or, I guess it's Analog Devices and their SoundMax solution. This power supply is what? What is this? Yeah, that looks like a cheap piece of crap. Combined output, total output 450 watts. Probably not. I mean, it might put out 200, but probably not a 450. So, because I'm greatly curious, I'm not going to betray anybody's trust or anything like that. Is that an IDE drive? It is an IDE drive. Wow. So this is an older system than I thought. Again, not that it really matters. This case is probably small enough, because for being a mid-tower, this is a pretty small case. Like, this is almost the size, I don't know, maybe I'm misjudging it, but this is almost the size of those Sierratech machines. It's maybe just a little bit taller. But it reminds me a lot of those Sierratech machines. I don't remember who makes those cases, if it's Inwin or if it's HEC Compucators. I'm pretty sure they're Inwins. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go take this over to my testing area, plug it in, power it on, and see what it does. I have no intention of betraying trust, so I'm probably not going to boot the operating system or anything like that, and I'm sure it's password protected anyway. But, well, we might see what it is running. I'd certainly be kind of curious. Okay, here we go with the tests jig that I've got going on here. I hope it doesn't blow up, because I'm not going to put the cover back on it. Because I do trust it at least a little bit more than just some random thing purchased at the thrift store in untested condition. Even though it's really not that much different. The difference is that it cost me nothing. One thing I also noticed about this, that power switch is backwards. I do want to check that and make sure that's set to 115, and it is. But let's see what it does when I flick the switch on. Oh, haven't done anything yet. Is this the power switch, or is the other switch the power switch? Standby power. Wow, that's impressively quiet. That makes like no noise at all. There's a disc in the drive. So far it hasn't done anything. I'm on the analog input. It probably shouldn't be taking that long to post. Yeah, it sounds like there's a disc in the drive. Oh, I just heard a click. There's a Brother printer thing. I'll have to ask if she still needs that. I wonder, I've got some questions. Is the power supply bad? It is doing a lot of clicking. Could be a bad power supply. That would certainly explain a fair bit. If it were bad. Of course, it could be any number of other things. Could be the board, could be the CPU, could be that a hard drive is dragging it down. That's another possibility, but I think I'm going to start with the power supply because that looks like cheap crap. Okay, here's the power supply, and a couple of things are interesting about this power supply. Number one, I had no idea that Canada Computers, which is what that is, that's their logo, I had no idea they privately labeled power supplies and sold power supplies under their name. I've certainly never seen any. Of course, I have no idea how old this is, so this could be, back from... In fact, actually, there's probably a date on this. It's got masking tape on it. I wish they didn't do that. Let's see if I can get that off without destroying the label. Of course. That's going to be a pain. Oh dear. Okay. I didn't think I was going to be doing this on video, but... Let's see if I can get that off of there without destroying it. $2011, it looks like. Nope. That's November of 2008. So yeah, that's quite old at this point. So that's probably actually the original power supply to this computer. So that tells me who built it. The OEM that actually put it together, the system builder that put it together, was in fact Canada Computers. And I know that they do a little bit of... They still do build computers, but I don't know that they privately label power supplies. But second of all, look at this. Max total output 450 watts, huh? Not when the model number on the power supply is ATX 250WS. Like, come on, guys. That's... Anyway. That's egregiously bad. Like, it's really... I have seen it in cases where they've been off by, 50 watts, and that's bad enough. But, that's 200 whole watts that they are just inventing out of thin air. And this is pretty light. You might be able, if you're really careful about it, you might be able to get 250 watts out of this, but I think this is probably more like a 200 or 150. But still, that's bad. This is like those Dynex power supplies. People regard Best Buy as being a reputable brand, and for some things they are, but there's a reason why they don't cost anything, So anyway, that's garbage. Or maybe it's not. Actually, I have no idea. I'm going to grab a power supply that's probably not that much better, because it happens to be what's laying around. One of these Thermal Master. These are Cooler Master power supplies. And 420 watts is probably selling this a little bit high as well. I don't think this could put out 420 watts. It might be able to do 350. It can certainly do more than that thing. But I'm going to try this, and I'm going to see if the computer is any happier. I really don't expect much out of it, but hey, it's one step in troubleshooting. Okay, I've got the P4, or what they call the P4 power connector, and I have 20 of the 24 pins plugged in. I didn't feel like screwing with it. Let's see if this works. Yep, I heard a beep. So, yeah, that works. So it's a power supply failure. I'm completely unsurprised by that. American Megatrends. Let's see, what does the system information say? I clicked on system information and it gave me the standard BIOS features. Okay, that's odd. Of course, it's not detecting anything because nothing's actually plugged in. The date and time is a bit off. Yeah, it's not February anymore, and it's certainly not 2:30 in the morning. Well, let's see. What do we got in terms of actual specs here? Here's the motherboard model. I guess it's one of those two. It's either an A74MX-S or an A74MX-K. I wonder if there's a sticker on it somewhere that would tell me. In fact, there is. It's right there. A74MX-K is what it says. So, the more you know. So, what else do we have? Well, it looks like we have an Athlon 64 5200 Plus. I forget what speed that is. I think it's like 2.6 or 2.7 gigahertz. 2 gigs of RAM, that's actually pretty nice. You could put more in there, but I think the maximum this would probably be able to take is 4, because it is a DDR2 system. I think. I actually don't know about that. I can't imagine this is new enough to be DDR3. I'd be a little shocked. Fox Central Control Unit. It's probably basically a fancy way of saying overclocking, but yeah, that's about what that looks like. It's just some overclocking stuff. Chipset features. And nothing there. Looks like 36618. That sounds like a DDR2 timing to me. So get out of that. Integrated peripherals. Nope, I want you to go to the integrated peripherals, please. Onboard LAN, which I think is Realtek. I think that's what that giant Realtek chip that's right there is. See if we can get the camcorder to focus on it. Something might be slightly broken with this camcorder. This focus mechanism. The camera's probably getting ready to break. Well, I can't read the chip, but you can probably read it on video. What does that say? RTL8110C? Yeah, it sounds like a Ethernet, and it's only a 10100 Ethernet too, if that's what that it really is. So, This was a budget board. Of course, the whole thing was a budget system, so who's really surprised by that? Let's take a look at the PC health status, if we can. Oh, I thought that was the CPU temperature for a second, and I was going to be like, what the heck? No, that's just the warning temperature. Okay. So the actual CPU temperature is not bad considering it's outdoors. Voltages look good. I think the voltages are okay. Curiously, there's no plus 5 volt monitor. That's odd. But I think what I can do, now that I know that it works, it was just a power supply, is I'm going to go ahead and plug in all the rest of the peripherals and see what we've got for hard drives, because I'm definitely curious about that. Okay, I did go ahead and put it in the case, even though it's probably not going to stay in here. Just because, well, I guess more than anything else, I wanted somewhere for those screws. Where's the switch? ATI Radeon Express 250 for Seahorse. What do we got for our drives here? Primary IDE master. That is a 40 gigabyte Samsung drive. Probably the one that's making all the bearing noise. Although I thought those had a fluid bearing in them, I guess not. I guess that must have been just the later ones. The other is a 320 gigabyte Western Digital. That's not too bad. And of course, Toshiba Samsung DVD writer. Nothing fancy there. So, what's it going to boot into? Again, I might have to stop the video depending on what this does. Windows 7, it looks like. Oh, maybe not. Maybe this is Windows Vista. Oh, God. Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen a Windows Vista machine in the flesh. Wow. Now, again, I'll probably have to stop the video depending on what this does next, but, because I don't feel like betraying anybody's trust. Oh, man. Yeah, it's definitely Windows Vista. Oh, it's the Ultimate version. Ooh, fancy. The guest account's enabled, too. Oh, the mouse works. at least do that much. Get into the guest account. I could probably hook up the sound, thinking about that, because this monitor has got a set of speakers on it. So we can get an idea for what was on the machine, but I don't really care about any of the data. I might ask. Just say, hey, is there anything on this that you want to keep? This doesn't want to go into the place. There we go. Microsoft PS2 mouse. Well, that's not quite what that is, but I mean, it's close enough. You must restart your computer. This is in a widescreen resolution. And I believe that I am going to fix that because that's not correct. 1280 by 768. Well, should be 1280 by 1024. I don't think this panel will do 1920 by 1080. Yeah, that's better. Brother help. Yeah, that's for that printer thing that I just shared. Ooh, microtorrent. Looks like it's got Office 2007 on it. Photoshop CS3. Looks like CS3 Suite. Mozilla Firefox, so at least there's decent browser on here. Opera. I wonder what version that is. If that's the old version that still has the Presto rendering engine, or if it's just the new Google Chrome. Hard to say. I don't actually remember when they changed over. Well, that made it crash. That's good. It doesn't tell me what version it is. Would this work? Version 12. So yeah, I believe that this would be the version that is using the Presto. Yeah, it is. The Presto rendering engine. So that's, there's a blast from the past. These days, Opera is nothing but a Google crap. Clone. Yeah, that's the word. Why would this be on there? Smooth Wall Diagnostics. Huh. I don't know. Somebody had a BlackBerry at some point. You'd think I'd remember that, but yeah, not so much. It's got Office and OpenOffice on it. It's pretty typical. DivX. Remember DivX? Wow. UQ Teacher, probably is for some kind of language tutorial. Okay, Vista Ultimate, Service Pack 1. Vista is activated. Now, is it legitimate? Good question. No idea. None of the rating stuff is available. Unless it's still trying to load it. Although, maybe on the guest account you can't do that. How much data? Oh, geez. Yeah, there's a fair bit. I don't know what's on what drive, because they're all weird. Photo stream, that's for an iPhone. Someone was playing with ReactOS, apparently. I think they're coming to take me away. Yes, before someone says something, I'm aware that that's fire and not police. It's actually the rescue truck. This is the one with the mechanical siren on it. Hope there's no forest fire, because that would suck. There's been a non-zero amount of that. I wonder if there are how many copies of all the junk on. Whatever. You know what? I'm not going to go through any of this stuff. Because it's not worth it. We know the disk configuration, which is very strange. I don't know why it's done this way. Don't know what, if anything, is on here, and I don't know that I care. I'm certainly not going to go through it on video, so I think that just about does it for this Windows Vista machine. I'm really kind of surprised it's still running Vista. But, Kind of nice to put a fan in the back there. I'm kind of surprised that this has what looks like either a 120 or a 140 millimeter fan opening in the back. But then again, it is a mid tower. So, what version of Firefox does this have on it? How long has it been since this thing was used? Checking compatibility of add-ons. Well, it's new enough to have the Astrails user interface. And yes, it's what I said, and it's what I meant. 47. So, not exactly new. Okay, now that I think everybody and their dog is done walking by, I can probably finish this video. It's getting kind of late. I did want to do a couple of other things, so not really much else to say about the system. I mean, the next place this is probably going to be, I'll certainly ask if there's any data that people want saved off of it. Although I kind of doubt it, because I don't think it's been used in anything approaching the recent past. But, you know, you never know, so I'd rather ask and get told no than wipe it and then be told, well, wait a minute, there was XYZ on it that I would have liked to keep. And by that point, it's too late. So, yeah, it's been a very long time since I've seen a Windows Vista machine in the wild. I mean, I've got several of them, but of course that's just me. You know, I've got several of pretty much everything, but in the wild, on a machine that, you know, wasn't mine before, you really just don't see Windows Vista anymore. In fact, really, honestly, you barely even see Windows 7 anymore, too. They're all Windows 10 machines, if you find them. And, of course, there's the masochists that put Windows 11 on things in an unsupported manner, thinking that somehow that's going to be the right way to do things going forward. I don't know. But what I do know is I'm going to close the video with that. Thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. I don't think the speakers on that monitor are working. This is the hard drive LED.